because they're Baptists.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. Well, the Baptists are singers. There's no getting around it.
They'll be singing, and I plan to have an old-fashioned handshake, and you probably get some shouting.
Oh,
on your
no.
record right
That's
there.
what we want. Oh, we'll have it.
Yeah, and so I'm going to work on that.
I'll be happy to help you any way I can now. Be happy. By then, I ought to be able to have this good unit. That's what I want. We'll get this good. But we don't want it to where people can see you're doing it. I know sometimes it doesn't make any difference, but sometimes it does, you know. And I'm always real careful with this thing. I always ask people, is it okay if and very seldom will it bother me anymore, you know.
No,
there was a time when they'd be nice, but everybody has one now. They're like, say, ours is over here, you know.
That's right.
But see, I take, every time we go to play somewhere.
It made me think about it.
Yeah.
I read about professor at some university, and he wanted to go somewhere, so he just taped his lecture and told the students that come in and take notes that my lecture will be on, before when it turns on. And I'll see you next week. Before he left, said he thought he'd go down through the aisle, see how things were working out. Said he looked in, wasn't a soul there. But the 26 tape recorders were on every day.
They were listening to his tape.
They were going. Well, I think there's so much, Gordon, that
it's unique that we have here.
We ought to done it.
Oh,
we can still do it.
Well, we can still get part of it. Now, really, we can. And the thing is, we know what to get. Now, there is a difference between some of these coming in from the Smithsonian or something. Yeah. They don't know what they're looking for.
Gordon, I'll tell you what makes me just vomit sometimes almost. The way they put you the write-ups was and said, and I'm telling you the truth, you can't read. You can't read part of it. Now, there's no hillbilly, and I've been here 76 years, and there's no one person that uses all of that. Now, there's some of them will use certain words when they're taught, but now, when they try to make every sentence just full of it, I just throw it away.
Yeah, I don't even, that where they try to copy dialect.
Yeah.
And it takes you'd have to be.
Well, people don't use all of them. No one thing, man.
No. Well, and you know, I remember the first time, now I'm sure Silver Dollar City has done a lot of good, but Silver Dollar City has still done a lot of good for Silver Dollar City.
Yeah, you bet.
And the sun doesn't rise and set on them as far as I'm concerned. And they will do what will bring the tourists back. Now, if it's something that wasn't even typical of the Ozarks, now that they don't care, they're going to do it, you know. So I don't consider them as the last word on the real Ozarks at all, because they're making money. That's a stationary carnival, that's what it is. It's a nice one and all that. But I know the first time I saw one of the Herschels was the oldest boy. And I went to a meeting at the University Club up in Springfield. And he came in to tell what they were doing down there at Marble Cave when they first started. And he came in overalls with one of these teeth blacked out and doing that kind of talking, you know. And of course, a lot of those people up there, that was fine with them. But I thought that's the foolish thing I've ever
Listen,
seen.
boy, you can't find anybody like this.
Shoot, no.
Ought to cut them off, really.
Yeah, that really turns me off when they try and do that.
I put that in one of my notes one time, and one old boy, I haven't seen his write-up since. I just said it just would make me want to vomit, because no one person talks that, use that many words.
These hillbilly calendars that one family's putting out over there, you know.
Yeah, he's dead now.
Had his whole family doing it. Or did he die? Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, Seaton.
Yeah, that's it.
But sure, they picture a man sitting under a tree with a jug of whiskey, and his wife pregnant and barefooted, and a snuff stick sticking up here out of the mouth, and about 10 kids roll around on it. That's a bunch of stuff.
You taught school? How long did you teach school? I forgot you taught school.
I taught school 14 years and the county superintendent 8 years.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I boil over. You know, I read an article in Reader's Digest. I still got one about IQ tests. And they have ruined, they've absolutely defeated a lot of people, a lot of kids.
Oh, yeah.
And the excellent one in this time, what does your achievement test and so forth tell you about your child? Nothing.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, Gordon. Something ought to be done about
Well,
that.
they
Now,
still
our
going
school's
on.
guilty of giving those, and they'll set some kid back here. It gave examples of one girl, and they made her feel like she belonged to the dumb group.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And today she's in a university teaching art, drawing and so forth, and every kid got some talent. if you give them a chance to express it. I think of one boy, and then I'll shut up about this, but
Okay,
it just gets me going. But
okay.
down Mark Twain, we were having I got tired of listening to these too many speeches, you know, valedictorian and so forth. So we had a graduation exercise, and we had it in the form of a play, and it's really good. I do say so myself. And one old boy down there in the school, a cutwork boy, and he was just, somebody hadn't taken enough time to help him read. He just couldn't read too well and so forth. He couldn't spell too well. We had that play, and he's one of the graduates. But he learned everybody's part before anybody did. He could go through that whole thing by himself. And when finally when the time came, somebody couldn't be there. I forgot what happened. So we substituted that other fellow. Now he had the ability there to memorize.
Yeah.
Sure. But somebody had failed to do enough for him.
Now, sometime I want us to get together again, and I want to just talk nothing but about your experiences teaching and some of the, because education, it just become commonplace in recent years. There was a time when it was a luxury for most people. And I know you had a lot of, now Ernest Redford was telling me that when he was a young man first getting out, that they hired him to kind of discipline some of these areas around here where they had some problems with.
Well, I went out to Pleasant Hill, just right out here, you know, and they ran the teacher off out there, you know, and I was doing practice teaching anyway, but I never had any trouble in school. I tell you, well, you get off too long a story.
That's right. Go ahead.
I just
your time is what it is. I got all the time in the world.
Discipline is a misunderstood thing. I never did whip a child. I taught 14 years, but once in a while I might pull them up right up close to me, look straight in the eye.
Yeah.
Shirt collar or something, and let them loose right quick. But if you had your work organized and everybody busy, that's the best discipline in the world.
That's right.
And I wish I could go back, and I just think, and after I read this article in the Reader's Digest, I'd like to go back, which I can't do, but if I could, go back to school, I would pick the slowest boys and girls in that room, and that's who I'd have to give the class play. So you'd be surprised how much they'd learn by doing that, and how surprised people would be to see them up there. I had a boy down Mark Twain, and when we had a graduation, I had him to give the welcome. They said, "You gonna let Charlie Trimble do that?" And I said, "Well, why not? He's got a beautiful voice, and he grew up in about 14 years now. Chance to know every home cuts, fight, and everything else. And he had the ability to be a good M+ student, but he just didn't have the attitude. He never did get good. But we defeat so many kids in school.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing about it. Here's a boy sitting on the back seat, and he may never answer a question right, but he ought to have a chance to express himself and do something. If it's nothing more than being the best boy in the school for him to waste basket.
Yeah. Right. So he'll feel he has some.
Yeah, he's done something. God, I tell you, some of those boys out here in high school now, they won't have a chance because they got this honor roll up on the wall.
Yeah.
And I hate this the way they have
Yeah,
them.
I know what you mean.
And those boys right out there could go out and make a monkey out of the superintendent master's degree or doctor's degree and start in his car and on the board straight.
That's right.
Or taking a grader and throw up as good a grade as a man with a PhD.
That's right. We got our values set a little odd nowadays.
Yeah, and it's just, and they blend on these tests, and it's a shame.
I'm glad to see Votex coming on. School. That's what we needed that for years and years and years.
In some places, they're lucky enough to let them go to school a half a day and work a half a day.
Yeah, that's right.
Because after all, most of them going to have to go out and work with them. Somebody got to do the work.
What you're getting ready to do, I don't want you to. When we went to Fayetteville that time, you mentioned that you want to talk about this sometime, and I don't want you to say anything you're going to write about, but about your Razorbacks, the hogs. We were going to talk about that one time.
Yeah.
They used to range hogs, I guess what you call it then. What are you going to do? You're going to write something on those?
Yeah, I'm going to write it. I'm going to call it hogging in Taney County. Wild hogging in Taney County. Yeah.
That's what.
Well, I'm going to start on. I've got 3 fellows lined up. and I've got my tape recorder now, and I'm gonna have to help me keep.
You want me to pick you up some of those tapes I'm talking about?
No, I've got a whole stack of tapes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, unload them. Yeah, I'm gonna write an article, and I'm gonna. Tell me this, or do you know, if you send something, say to Springfield Daily News, do you get that back if they don't take it?
Oh no, I tell you who to talk to. Lucille Morris Upton, so you want to talk to.
But I know another lady know better than Lucille. It's Annabelle Hoover, who writes Broadway. She has some good articles in there.
Okay, we'll talk to her, because I don't know.
I'm
sure you do, because see, Fred Jarman writes for them, and all those people, and they wouldn't do that much stuff. But say, when you get off on this, if you want it now, I've got a picture of that. They claim that one they killed over Cassville about 15 years ago was a wild boar.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when they killed that one that was
No.
tearing up things over there?
No.
Well, I've got that picture out of the paper and everything, and so I'll make a copy of that for you so you can put it into your stuff too.
Yeah, that'd be
And
fine.
the names of the guys that were in on it,
Yeah.
because you'll want to go there in Berry County and check that out too. Because this thing, according to them, was rooting up the country, tearing up chicken yards and
Yeah.
tearing up farmyards and sweat blood, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they said.
Yeah.
But it'll give you the names of the guys
Yeah.
because you'll want to. Now that's when you want to go over and check on.
Yeah,
them.
here's I've got Audie Eldridge and Jim Webster and Burl Stevens up here, and they were here. See, these hogs are just domestic hogs that went wild and they grew up in hill in a very nondescript breed. You know,
Yeah.
didn't have any breed.
Yeah.
And of course we had the earmarks, but these hogs I've seen them in the hills 4 or 5 years old. Never seen a man on them ride through on a horse or something. They lived in the hills. People go back in the hills and they find some of the hogs marked, or they figure that some there weren't, probably belong to them. They're making a difference, got on Hickman, and then they shoot them, bring them in, or so forth. And I remember the last one we had, no man lived down below us, put the hog on and tore up the flies and tore his gut on, had a shooting on. And though that day and time, we didn't have a good breed of hogs. Golden China and Blue Rocks.
Yeah.
This bunch of, we call them hazel splitters. And slept out in the woods, we'd be hunting, hear the dog would coming around. We knew there's a bed of hog around there somewhere, and we go the other way. So I've got quite a lot of stuff on told them in, that they wasn't too wild and had eaten corn at some time in their life. You just throw down a few grains of corn, walk on. They pick out it and they come from and they can throw down some more. That's what I'm going to do.
Listen, I'll check. I know some people down in Cassville, and I'm supposed to go down there to a music party not too long from now. And I'll find that article, and I'll check and see if anybody's around there, and get the names of some of those people. And say if you happen to go over there, I'll see if it really is worth talking about it. Maybe because I know some people that live around down in Berry County there, and because that was the last one I've seen where they even claimed that's what it was. Now they had a picture of a paper. These guys had shot it. Boy, it looked awful big to have been a.
Well, these hogs didn't get enormous.
That's what I mean. This one was big and fat. Now
Boars got big. Well, they get fat, but they had an awful long nose.
Yeah.
Snout,
Yeah.
and just brown, dirty brown spots and black, and I remember seeing my uncle and my cousin bring one in out of the hills, a big boar, and one of them had a rope on the hind leg and one had tied around his tusk, leading them in front, keeping them from getting each other.
Yeah.
And that's why they brought him out of the McAdoo Hills.
Yeah.
Caught him with a dog. He had a dog over there could catch a hog, and he'd get him with this knuckle right here on the foreleg and just lay down so the hog couldn't hit him, you see.
Yeah.
And he'd catch any hog. And they put those in a log pen and had the pen built before they got the hogs.
Yeah.
Notched just like a cabin. And threw them in there, had it covered over with big split logs. Enough room to throw the hog in there and then covered up right fast. And some of those hogs wouldn't eat or drink for 3 or 4 days. And it'd be long after. Of course, now we did breed them to get them to eat corn. That meat off acorns, you hanged it up, it just drip. And if you feed them corn for a month or two, that hardened the lard, you see, that's right.
Yeah.
And some of those old dogs, that hog would get that up here, you go up there and whoosh, they hit those rails like that, and man.
Well, that could do damage to a person, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, there's all the elders live over here, Lee Mills. His mother went out in the hills one day, horseback, and luckily she had her dog with us. It's old Shep and a big old calico hound named Rover, and he'd run a hog just like you would a fox,
Yeah.
and bay them, and then throw it all catch 'em. And she got off her mare, and that hog made a dive her and just ripped her dress completely off her. She got on, she managed to get on home and get home and killed her if they hadn't been those over.
Those tusks just rip you up.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to ask Burl. He may remember, but I know definitely up here on the Garrison. Somebody got out there and had the hog, and that mare was heavy and full, and that hog ripped her.
Yeah.
Lost the colt, and the mare died there.
Yeah.
That's how mean you were. But,
Well,
I've got a pretty good lineup on the hog deal.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'll check on this deal over there at
Okay.
Cashville too, because I've got that picture at home. I saw it not long ago. Now, another picture I've got, I think this was in the Mountaineer at one time. I got it out of the Springfield paper. Was where they used to put cross.
Oh, neck yokes.
Yeah,
Oh,
neck yokes
well,
on
yeah,
them.
we call
Yeah.
them Democrat ties.
Oh,
Democrat necktie. Well, you can say it's a Republican.
yeah,
if you're a
yeah.
Democrat.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I'd never seen that.
Yeah, I've seen all, gosh, yeah. There used to be yokes on cattle and everything,
Yeah.
you know, with a big old wheel around here and the pole come down, things stick out so they could start to jump at the hand.
Yeah.
And they couldn't jump, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, those hogs wore those things. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, I've kept you here for
Well, that's all right.
an hour or so, and I better be
Stay
heading
long
on
as you
too.
want to.
This is a 120-minute tape. That's a 2-hour test. First, I just got some of those, and they, for talking, really, they're not bad at all. And where you know you're going to be doing a lot of talking, you don't have to worry about changing it every
Yeah.
time, you know, and everything.
I've got some 60 minutes. 60 minutes.
Now, I'm getting 90-minute one. Well, you've got plenty there, but when you
Yeah.
run low, now I tell you, the best price I found of all is out there at Skaggs, and you can get 2 90-minute ones for $1.77. And then you can get 2 60-minute ones for $1.35 or something like that. Now that's the best price I've seen. I even got some wholesale prices one time. I had to bought a gross,
Yeah.
but it was still more. But they, of course, now I haven't any trouble with these tapes. They may not be the best tapes. They're called
Yeah.
Universal or something. I haven't any trouble with them.
Yeah.
They've done real good.
One thing I want to ask before we leave, where did you get your hardback book made? One of mine you think you had?
Oh yeah, I sent that into American Bindery at Topeka. Now, I want the guy to come through and check with prices again. Now they're like everybody else; they're getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
I used to be, I could get a paperback like yours bound for $2.50. Then they even had some they did for a while that were $1.75 or something. Then I had them like I've got my Ozark Mountaineers, not since Clay had it, but when it was the big ones.
Yeah.
I haven't, someday I may buy Clays, but I wanted to get those ones that old Roscoe Stewart had because man, there's a ton of material in those. And I had those. Now those cost me about $14 a volume, but those are hand sewn and everything. But my gosh, they're hardback bound now. Of course, they're big. Oh, I don't know if I should. Yeah, I showed those to you. I think when you were up at my house. Maybe I did. We didn't have time to really go in there and look too much. Something I want you to come up and we'll go over some of that stuff. And but the salesman, I wanted to come through again because he'd tell me one price and I'd send it to him and they'd do it and I'd come back and
I'd like
double
to have
that.
one or two of mine done if I could find them.
I checked with a guy in town. I've got some stuff that Vance Randolph gave me that I want to have bound. And it's stuff I can't replace. And the only thing I don't like about having to send this stuff to Topeka, now this salesman will pick it up, but